But then in a toxic relationship, you are not really getting that validation, or you are not getting any kind of compliments. Rather, you are
Yes.
getting beatings and cursings all the time. So
Yes.
you are not getting fulfilled over there. Then why do you want to stay there?
And after all that glory, there was a time where I just slipped. एंड होता है ना आपके पैरों के नीचे से जमीन ही निकल जाती है. सो आई
Okay.
आई हिट अ लो इन माय लाइफ.
So many people out there who doesn't know what Reiki exactly is. So can you tell them a little bit about what Reiki is actually?
And I
Okay.
think I saw not just myself, I saw a lot of people heal out of really chronic, drastic situations while I
Wow.
was in that process.
So Delna, in Reiki, there is a thing called distance healing. Can you tell us a little bit of science about it? How does it really work?
The magic is not in talking,
Mm-hmm.
the magic is in becoming. Yes.
So how can healing help those people who have lost their children because of maybe terminal illness, maybe accident? Hello everyone, and welcome to the Blossom Everyday podcast. I'm your host Rachna Dahiya, a holistic life and mind transformation coach. And I'm so excited to start this new journey with all of you. In this podcast series, I'll be bringing in amazing guests from different walks of life: healers, coaches, teachers, and experts in many fields. They'll be sharing their knowledge, their stories, and the tools that can actually help you grow, create more abundance, build beautiful relationships, and live a more fulfilling life. So, with that, let's begin today's very first episode. And I have with me a truly special guest, Delna Rajesh. She is someone who has been helping women heal and transform their lives for more than 20 years. Delna is a spiritual psychotherapist, a Reiki grandmaster, and the founder of something called the Kintsugi Mastery Foundation. Now, what I love about her work is this: she helps women who feel broken, who have gone through toxic relationships, deep pain, or trauma, to actually turn that pain into strength. So, in this conversation, we are first going to hear about Delna's own journey, what inspired her to walk this path, and the turning point that made her dedicate her life to healing work. Then we'll dive into something very unique that she has created, the Kintsugi Mastery Foundation. Now, if you don't know what Kintsugi is, don't worry, she is going to explain this beautiful concept to us. We'll also explore what spiritual psychotherapy really means, how it's different from traditional psychotherapy, and how it actually helps people heal. And since Delna is also a Reiki grandmaster, we'll get to learn what Reiki is all about and how it works in emotional and physical healing. And finally, we'll wrap up with something very close to my heart: practical steps you can start taking today if you have ever felt broken, stuck, or powerless, to shift into strength, confidence, and inner peace. So stay tuned. This is going to be a deep, insightful, and really empowering conversation. Hi Delna, welcome to the Blossom Everyday podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for joining and for being part of this very special first episode.
Thank you, Rachna. Thank you so much for having me here. This means so much to me.
Okay, Delna. So I have shared a little bit about you. So I really love our audience to hear from your side. That how did your journey actually start, and what was that turning point in your life where you thought that this is it, this is what I want to do? What was that turning point in your life?
Okay. I won't say I had any major pivotal point in my life where I realized, oh, I want to get into healing. I think I stumbled upon healing very young in my life. I was just 16. We were just out of college. And, we were part of this beautiful thing called the Rotaract Club. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's the youth wing of the Rotary International.
Okay.
And, at Rotaract, they always encouraged us to learn something new, to do something new. So we were constantly on the lookout. And I think we were just a bunch of friends. And one of those days, one of them said, you know what, my mother does Reiki. Would you like to learn? And so we were all, a group of friends. We just decided, chalo, weekend hai, let's do the Reiki batch and see what comes out of it.
Okay.
And I just walked into the Reiki seminar knowing nothing. But traditional Reiki comes with one-on-one attunements. And the moment I walked into that room and I sat on that chair And when I felt that energy, when my master touched my head and when she aligned me to that divine life force, that was one magical moment. Though I was a teenager, I knew nothing about spirituality, had no idea about what is chakra, nothing at all really. But it was just that one experience I could never forget. And after that moment, I think something within me shifted and I wanted to know. So I know we were a whole bunch of us. I think for a very long time, we did it very dedicatedly and then we all sort of drifted apart.
Okay.
But somehow Reiki kept getting me back into that space. So after a few years, not that I was disconnected, I used to practice whenever I needed it. It was like my, lifeline, round bandilaj kind of thing. Anything I would go back to it. And then in 2007, you know, I was sort of, you're peaking. You're doing very well in your career. You're learning one thing after another. Of course, I used Reiki a lot to also, इतना मुझे समझ आ गया था कि anything I want to manifest, if I wanted to grow fast, if I wanted to, energize myself, do something very specific, crack anything that I wanted to, I used Reiki all of this time. But होता है ना, there is a limit. There's a time when you're doing it for your own self and you're taking it lightly, but you're doing it and you're manifesting and you're enjoying that whole thing.
Right.
And after all that glory, there was a time where I just slipped. And होता है ना, आपके पैरों के नीचे से जमीन ही निकल जाती है. So
Okay.
I hit a low in my life. And honestly, I didn't know any better. So I got back to Reiki, and by that point of time, I wasn't in touch with my earlier master under whom I was attuned. So I was sort of a little lost. And then I had a friend of mine who said, Arey, you are a Reiki channel and you've been so powerfully doing all of this. How can you, allow yourself to slip and allow yourself to go through this, self-doubting, self-questioning
Right.
phase of life?
Right.
So, we found myself another Reiki master who's still with me, and I learned under her. I served under her for some time, for quite some time, and that was, I think, my second. How do I say? My second birth into Reiki.
Okay.
By now, I was over. I think I was around 21, 22. And you have a different level of maturity where you
Right, of course.
understand things a little deeper and differently. So that was where I think I really delved deep into life. Iske pehle also, even while I was doing Reiki, I had explored Brahma Kumari and all of these other NLP, all of that I had done while being in college, somehow one thing after another. But this was the time, I think 2007 to 9 was like a deep dive for me into spirituality, into understanding chakras, into understanding energy, into really understanding the root cause of each issue, to understand and really listen to my body and what is happening. Because all this time I was using it only for manifestation,
Right. Right.
for getting strength, and for the very materialistic stuff that you want to achieve something, you use Reiki, come out of it. But this period of 2 years, I really, I think I studied and I understood what the true power of traditional Reiki. And I think I saw not just myself, I saw a lot of people heal out of really chronic, drastic situations while I was in that process.
Wow. So Delna, so many people out there who doesn't know what Reiki exactly is. So can you tell them a little bit about what Reiki is actually?
Yes. Reiki is a beautiful, a very powerful healing energy. It is the purest form, the most divine form of energy. There are a lot of different kind of energy healing that happens.
Right.
But Reiki is that ultimate purest form of divine energy that has the power to transform everything within our being. Everything, if you look at it today, everything around us is space element. Everything within us is also space element. Reiki is that transformational higher power, that higher wisdom, that higher energy that has the ability to transform everything within us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Okay.
Any kind of healing is a transformation. Any kind of manifestation is a transformation. And Reiki is that divine power that has the ability to magically, I would say, of course, with deep work on the chakras, on the energy centers in our body, to transform the entire being of what we are, what we can be, what we attract. And
So you mean to say that we can do emotional and physical, all kind of healings, and we can do manifestations also. If we want to manifest our goals, that can also be done with Reiki.
yes, effortlessly.
Wow, that is so powerful.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a myth which I have heard a lot about Reiki, that whenever you are practicing Reiki, the healer gets affected by the negative energy of that person who he is healing. So is that right?
That's absolutely a myth. Okay.
Okay.
Look, energy or aura is something very, even if you're not doing any kind of energy work, I just want you to understand the concept of energy. Okay. When you're meeting someone who is vibrating at a lower energy frequency, which means, suppose I'm very happy right now, okay, and I
Right.
end up meeting someone who's totally upset, sad, angry, or in grief. After being with this person for around 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, how are you going to feel? How am I going to feel? Am I going to be able to maintain my happiness while you're grieving?
No,
So what
I
will
will go
happen to you?
down. My energy will go down.
Right, right. So the person who is, even however positive we are, if we come in contact with someone with an energy vibration that is lower than us, we are going to get affected. We are going to attract that energy.
Right.
We
Yes,
are
we do
also
get.
going to get affected by it. It's not like we're not, we're not made of stone, right? And
Right.
so what happens is we tend to absorb that energy. We
Absolutely.
start vibrating at that frequency to some extent, or maybe a lower frequency than where we are. Now, this is going to happen with or without Reiki.
Right.
This is happening. If you go, for example, if you go to a place where there's a lot of anger, you're going to come out feeling a little upset, angry, irritable,
Yes, yes.
right? If you go to
Yeah.
a sad place, जैसे हम शमशान जाते हैं, you're going to a place like that. Do you notice that dip in your energy,
Yeah. Yes,
right?
it is there. Yes.
So this is something. It's an automatic phenomena that happens. Now it's not just with Reiki practitioners. Any psychologist, any person who's dealing with people across, too many people around, meeting people with all kinds of energy during the day, you are going
Right.
to get impacted. It's nothing to do with Reiki. Yes,
Okay.
Reiki practitioners again. Now, if you're seeing client after client after client after client, without protecting yourself, what kind of clients are you going to meet?
Sad clients only, because you are healing them. So obviously those
Right.
kind of people would be coming who needs healing.
So when you're going to meet people who are vibrating at a low frequency, feeling low, feeling sad, feeling upset, feeling angry, the
Right.
whole time from morning to evening, if that's going to be your profession, and you don't protect yourself enough, you don't work on your own energy, you don't balance your own energy, you don't shield yourself properly, then with or without Reiki, even if you are, into a profession like law, you're going to get affected.
Right. So tell me, Delna, why doesn't it happen the vice versa? Like when maybe I'm very happy, but when I'm, in the company of very sad people, I also get sad. But why doesn't it happen the other way around? That if I'm happy, that why doesn't that sad person gets happy in my company? Why doesn't that happen?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Okay.
They may not be drastically happy. It may not be a very subtle shift, but think about it. when somebody is feeling very sad and you're in a better, higher energy, and you're coming from a higher space and you're holding the space, not allowing yourself to dip, but if you're able to hold the space for them, they are going to feel better. Doesn't that happen when clients come to you for therapy?
Yeah, of course. So that means that we have to maintain that high frequency, then only we'll be able to change their frequency.
Yes.
But if we let our frequency go down in their presence, then of course the healing is
Yes.
not going to take place.
Yes. This is something we call holding the space,
Okay.
right? Holding the space. We need to understand as healers, it is very essential to understand that, we cannot allow our energy to start dipping.
Right.
Rather, we have to maintain that positivity, that high frequency, to hold the space for the client, to facilitate that release for them,
Right.
to allow them to release it without allowing our energy to dip, and then to slowly lift their energy, help them, sort of stabilize, then feel calmer, then feel slightly better, and then you empower them before the end of the session. You add a little bit of emotional, mental uplift in the way they are feeling.
Right.
Sometimes we do energetic work also. So we work on their energy. And the whole idea is to not allow our energy to dip, but to create the safe space for them
Exactly.
to let go and then to rebuild.
Yeah. Yes, I have seen that shift in my clients also, because someday if I'm feeling low, obviously I cannot shift that energy to them. So that session doesn't go really well. But if I'm energetic, then obviously that healing goes to them and they really feel that, transformation into their life then and there.
Yes.
It does make a difference. So Delna, in Reiki, there is a thing called distance healing. Can you tell us a little bit of science about it? How does it really work?
So the first step is in Reiki is level 1. Where level 1, you're doing self-healing. So the first 21 days is your healing time for yourself, where you're just working on your own chakras.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, you can do touch healing. It is called touch healing as well. So if there is someone who requires Reiki, you can also place your palms on their body, and palms as in 2 inches above the body is good enough. So you can place your palms above the body and do healing. Now, after the first level is completed, after your first 21 days of complete full body healing is over, then you get to the next level, which is called the distance healing level 2.
Okay.
This is where you get a few powerful, extremely powerful sacred symbols.
Okay.
And in traditional Reiki, we do not even name them.
Okay.
We do not say them out loud. They are secret symbols.
Are they like mudras? Mudras in yoga we use. Are they like that?
They are symbols. They are symbols.
Okay.
Like the swastik is a symbol. Om.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So these are powerful symbols, and they have their own sacredness. They have their own power, and there is a way to use them. Now, here amongst these 3 powerful symbols, there is a distance symbol. There's a symbol called the distance symbol. And this is a symbol that helps you connect with not only your own higher self, not only your own inner child, not only your own shadow self, not only with your own self at a deeper level, but any other soul, any other energy, anywhere across the world. So if I'm sitting here in Bangalore and you're sitting somewhere else, I can sit here and channel Reiki, and Reiki will flow to you exactly as powerfully as it would if I were sitting right there and channeling, doing touch healing for you.
Okay. But what is the science about it? Like we say that at energy level, we all are one. So if at energy level, we all are connected, if I'm having an intention right here to heal you, that Reiki healing will reach you because of that energy connection. Is that the science about it, or is it something even deeper about it?
Yes, but just intention is one small part. The symbols are very powerful.
Okay.
That is a sacred, it's an ancient sacred science. The symbols have their own power. They have a way of, as you say, every symbol has a particular particular power they are connected to. They do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
They have certain outcomes. They have certain benefits, certain vibrational frequency that they bring about. So
Okay.
when we use them in the way we need to use them in traditional Reiki, the
Mm-hmm.
results are magnificent.
Okay.
So that is where the deeper healing happens. Intention healing, anyway, that is something all of us can do at a surface level. But
Okay. Okay.
this is something you have to experience to understand the level of healing.
Right.
It heals right from the root cause of the problem. So
Right. I
I
think
have
all the modalities of healing are about experience only. Unless and until you experience them, you cannot really trust
yes,
them. It's
yes,
all the modalities, I think.
yes.
Okay. So Della, tell me one thing. You see, whenever somebody is trying to do something different in their life, so our society, our relatives, or maybe even our parents, they start saying things like, "These things don't work. You won't get successful in this," and maybe they would say that there is no money in it, right? And they try to dump you down. So you also must have faced all those kind of challenges. So what were those challenges for you, and how did you come out of those challenges?
I will share something very beautiful that I had learned from my mentor. Uh, you know, Whenever I used to think, about, oh, this is something very nice and we should talk about it. And why don't people know about it? Any modality.
Right.
Always I've understood that the magic is not in talking.
Mm-hmm.
The magic is in becoming.
Right.
So when you try a healing technique or when you try a modality and when you are doing it very sincerely, when I did, from my experience, when I started my Reiki journey, and when the people around me understood that there is a very solid impact when I'm doing it
Mm-hmm.
versus when I'm not doing it.
Mm.
And when people see that shift in you, when they see you as that power, like, whenever I walk into now my son is grown up, but when I would walk into his school daily to pick him up and drop him,
Mm-hmm.
I would have parents who would believe that everything is picture perfect in my life. Like,
Okay.
आप तो हमेशा ही खुश रहते हो, आपकी लाइफ में तो सभी. Now that feeling, that understanding that there is something different about her, that need not be expressed in words. I don't need to beat the drum and say, oh, you know what, I do Reiki.
Right.
But when people start observing you and say, you know what, Rachna, there is something very different about you. When I'm in your aura, I feel happy. When you come to my place, I feel very uplifted. In your energy, I feel I can say anything, I can be myself, I can release all my fears, I can grow. Now, when people start noticing that, they will start asking you, what is it that you do
Absolutely.
so different? And
Yeah.
that's the way to, I think, explain to the people around you or your loved ones.
Right.
Become
Right.
that, so they see that difference in you and they wonder, oh my God, what does she do differently? I want to be that. I want to be there.
Right.
I want to get there.
Right. And here comes one more question to my mind, that, to all these healers, people or the society, you can say, they always tell that you are doing such a sacred work. You are healing people. You are like, doing God's work in a way. So why do you charge for it? Or why do you charge so much? X person is charging 1,000. Why are you charging 5,000? So those kind of questions usually come. So what do you want to say to those people? And what do you want to say to those coaches and to those healers who feel scared because of this societal pressure that they should not ask for money?
Firstly, let me rectify this term healer. Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking for Reiki, I'm talking for myself.
Right.
We are Reiki channels.
Mm-hmm.
We are not healers.
Okay.
Healing is happening through us.
Right.
I don't take responsibility for your healing,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no guilt if it doesn't have the exact same result. There is no doership here, and hence there is no pride, and there is nothing called, oh, I'm the healer and you're the client or you're the patient.
Mm-hmm.
As Reiki practitioners, Reiki is just flowing through us. We are just channels for it.
Okay.
So I'm not charging you for the miracle that is happening. That is divine intervention.
Right.
I'm charging you for my time.
Hmm.
I'm charging you for my time, and I'm charging you for uh, my expertise of understanding energy.
Right. Everybody doesn't have that understanding.
Right? So I'm charging you for the years of learning, of understanding, of knowing what to speak when or what to do when.
Right.
That is what I'm charging for. Reiki is miraculous. You can't, it's not in you or me to be, we are human beings. It is a powerful source that is doing the work. We are just a channel, we are just allowing it to flow through us. What we are charging for is the time, the way any other professional charges for any other
Exactly.
individual, and the years of learning and the years of expertise. So different healers will, according to their their ability, their learning, they will charge based on
Right.
what
Right.
they feel is the right value or the right energy exchange for their work.
Exactly. Exactly. I so truly agree with you. Okay, so Delda, here let's talk about your foundation, Kintsugi Mastery Foundation. So, what does this word really mean, Kintsugi? And what about this word that really inspired you that you created this sacred space for women?
Sure. So, Kintsugi is a beautiful, Reiki is a Japanese word, and
Okay.
since I have been into this beautiful, how do I say, this beautiful magical modality for so many years, there was another beautiful magical word, which is also Japanese, that inspired me.
Okay.
So, Kintsugi is the Japanese art of repairing, broken pottery.
Mm-hmm.
So, Japan में, when pottery used to break, when a beautiful piece of ceramic would break, what they would do is they would put it together with lacquer. They
Mm-hmm.
would join it. They would repair it
Mm-hmm.
instead of letting it go to waste. And then, after putting it together, they would cover all the broken cracks and fill up that lacquer and all of that with gold and platinum.
I have seen those pictures
Yes,
and it looks really beautiful.
yes. So it symbolizes for not allowing, not seeing brokenness as brokenness, for not discarding that part of us, for not seeing it as a useless, broken piece, but to use it to build something so beautiful, to make it whole again first. And after you make it whole again, to lift yourself up to another level where the same broken piece put together, wearing the scars as pride, is turned into a pricelessly exclusive masterpiece of art. So
Wow.
it Kintsugi stands for, turning the same brokenness, that pain, that heartbreak, or whatever it is that we felt fully, to feel it, to understand it, to acknowledge it, to make it whole again, to make ourselves whole again, and without
Okay.
feeling the shame of it, wearing that wisdom, that knowledge, the learning we received through the process with pride, to start building and come into a space of power, to start shining, to become that priceless piece of creation that we were always meant to be.
Right. So, what inspired you to work for women? Because you have worked with so many women, you are changing their lives and you are changing that brokenness into strength and that inner peace. So, what inspired you to do that?
Oh, I think I naturally, as I said, it is not, there was nothing, I never thought I would be sitting and even doing healing work, honestly. I
Okay,
had a
yeah.
thriving corporate career. Uh, and it just so happened I took a career break in 2016. And that's where I started working with kids initially. Actually, I started working with my own son. I got him attuned, and we used to do a lot of chakra work. And then I would see a lot of moms, around his school environment,
Right.
and that's where I think it all began. And I realized that every child who is suffering today, every child, people would say my child is very aggressive, my child is very hyperactive, my child is uncontrollable, and
Hmm.
all these. And every time I would look at the mom and I would say, what, problem is not the child, problem
Hmm.
is the parent.
Right. Absolutely. So true.
So I would just look at these beautiful innocent kids and I would just wonder. And the mother's energy, even the father, but the mother's
Yeah.
energy is a very strong energy. And children, at least up to the age of 11, are so strongly influenced. If any of you have kids under that age, you just observe. When you're happy, your child is happy. When you're sad, your child will automatically not have
Get
a very
sad.
day. You
Yeah.
just come back home and ask how was your day today, and check with your day and see how uh, you know it's a mirror image. The child
Hmm.
is they, even though you've not told a single thing to them,
Right.
their life is a mirror image of how we hold our energy as a parent.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I think that is where I started working,
Right.
with moms. And then it just sort of grew into, more and more people coming in.
Hmm.
And yes, by now I can say I worked with a lot of women, and I understand that there is a lot of brokenness, a lot of loneliness, a lot of abandonment,
Hmm.
a lot of fear of abandonment, which makes them very, go through different phases in life. Sometimes tolerate a lot of trauma, sometimes
Hmm.
tolerate a lot of abuse, not because they're losing something, just because they're afraid of losing something
Hmm.
a lot of times.
Right.
So I think that's where it began, and then it just eventually grew into this beautiful moment that it is today.
Wow. I'll share a personal experience with you here.
Mhm.
So the other day, I just went to buy that bhutta. You know what bhutta is?
Hmm.
कॉर्न जो होता है
One.
उसको जो भून के हम खाते हैं तो आई वेंट टू बाय दैट सो दिस लेडी वाज मेकिंग इट एंड इनसाइड द शॉप हर हस्बैंड वाज सिटिंग एंड शी वाज इंटॉक्सिकेटेड विद अल्कोहल, her husband, and he was yelling throughout that time. He was cursing people, he was cursing his wife and everything. So I asked her that why are you tolerating this man and why are you bringing him to this place, because because your the customers are also walking away because of his cursing and everything.
Hmm.
So she's telling me that you see how he's behaving, and he even hits me, he does this, he does that. She did not answer me, she just tried to explain.
Hmm.
So then again, I asked her that you are earning yourself, then why do you even need him? Why don't you just walk out? So just she just ignored that question completely. So now I really want to understand, why does women
Hmm.
want to remain into that toxic relationship, even though they know that they are the breadwinners of that home, they can take care of themselves, they can take care of their children. In spite of that, why don't they get out of that toxic relationship?
Hmm. First of all, it's not just women. I meet a lot of men also who are
Oh.
uh, who are in the middle of toxic relationship, who are bearing it silently in different ways. It's not only
Mm-hmm.
that women. Of course, I work more with women, but
Mm-hmm.
I think women also have their own way of,
Mm-hmm.
so both men and women, we are, we as human beings, we seek love, we seek validation, we seek togetherness, we seek that, you know, we want approval, we want validation, we want attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow in our society, all of that, we are taught since our childhood that all of this self worth, attachment, validation, how good you are should come from outside. हम खुद की तारीफ नहीं
Right.
कर सकते.
Yes.
Okay, like as kids we were told खुद की तारीफ कैसे कर सकती हो, अपने मुंह मियां मिट्ठू, how can you talk like that, right?
Exactly.
You wait for the compliment to come from outside.
Yes.
So since childhood we are waiting. As a child you want the teacher to appreciate, You want your friends to, appreciate. You want to be validated. And then your spouse becomes that ultimate source of validation, whether you're a man or a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because, after your marriage, that becomes your home, that is your life, that is your surrounding. Your world revolves around your spouse and the family and the children.
Right. But then in a toxic relationship, you are not really getting that validation, or you are not getting any kind of compliments. Rather, you are
Yes.
getting beatings and cursings all the time. So
Yes.
you are not getting fulfilled over there. Then why do you want to stay there?
Right. Now, there are so many reasons in India, not just in India, I mean, even abroad, but in Indian society, uh, walking out of a relationship, whether you're married, not married, is like a stigma only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is still, I have so many women who come to me, they are getting beaten. I see them every day, every time they come for session, I see dollops of makeup on the face, covering, badly
Okay.
bruised. Some are sexually abused in the marriage, some are physically abused in the marriage,
Mm-hmm.
some are tolerating someone with an addiction problem,
Mm-hmm.
some are financially being abused completely, just in the relationship because they have to be the provider.
Right.
And yet I see, session after session after session, until they reach that aha moment where they realized, acha, it is better to abandon and to be by myself.
Mm.
I can be whole, I can be complete without another.
Mm.
That realization is something that is a new stream of thought, and that takes time to understand. It is not something that comes very naturally to us because of years of upbringing and
Right.
even our education system. Every time
Exactly.
you have to earn something to feel valid.
Yes.
You have to earn marks. You have to earn, appreciation in your project to be a good student. You're not
Yeah.
called a good student. I can look at the subject, I can enjoy the subject, and I can feel awesome about it because I know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not a good student unless I score marks. I'm not a good daughter unless I obey. I'm not a good wife unless I behave in a certain manner. I'm not a good mother if I'm not feminine, nurturing. Right? So at
Absolutely.
every step in our conditioning, we are conditioned to earn. So it just doesn't occur. I'm just perfect and I don't need to earn anything. I'm whole myself. And to get women to understand that is in itself a process. And the day you do understand, you feel powerful and complete. But you know what? Then I understand I'm whole. I understand I'm complete. I'm very powerful. But how can I look powerful? I'm a woman. It's threatening to look powerful
Right.
because log kya kahenge? The society is going to
Exactly.
eat me up.
Yeah.
And same,
Again.
I mean, men also go through the same thing, by the way. I mean, it's not that they don't, they have their own other issues. And they also,
I'm sure.
I see today more men suffering silently, honestly. I won't say more, but I can say equally in relationships and in profession as well. So this is what we are taught, and this is the conditioning. We have to break it, and it takes time, and it's a process.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So Delna, can you tell us one or two stories of your clients, like breakthrough transformations of them?
All right. I've had some beautiful, beautiful, lovely stories. I've had a mother of a teenager. It was a case of cancer. She had
Okay.
gone through her. She was going through her chemo sessions while she came to me. It was, I think, stage 3. And, but she had already been operated, and she was going through her chemo. And she came and she said, "You know what, ma'am, I have no choice. I have to live." Um, so her husband had passed away,
Okay.
and she was the only person for her daughter. So she
Okay.
said, "I have to live for her. Where will she go?" It was an interreligion marriage, so she said, "Na wo पीछे जा सकती है, ना वो आगे जा सकती है. I'm the only person for her." And that mother's dedication, the only thing I think, I always say कि अगर जुनून से healing आप करते हो, 100% you will come out of it. 100%, there is no doubt about it. When you, of course, there is divine timing and there is the divine wisdom, and we can't control birth or death or any
Right.
outcome.
Right.
100%. But yes, if there is that divine grace and there is that destiny and there is the universe is it is there in the destiny to live. There is a possibility. 100% Reiki will make it happen. So I would see her, every morning, and she had her work schedule at 7:30 a.m. because
Okay.
she had a flexi schedule so that she could manage her doctor's appointment and everything with her chemo sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 a.m. sharp every morning, she would have completed her full body healing, which means she would have woken up at 3:30.
Wow.
She would have done her full 1.5 hours full body healing, and then
Uh-huh.
she will come and sit with me and do the Reiki level 1 course
Okay.
from
Wow.
5 to 6 or 6:30. I don't remember.
And she healed
But
completely. She came
that
out
was
of.
her dedication, and it took her 3 months.
Wow. Within 3 months, she was out of it.
She was out of it. Of course, she
Wow.
was going through her chemo sessions and
Of
all of that
course.
was happening. The
Right.
doctors were also supporting her. Her organization was amazing. They supported her so beautifully. But she
Mm-hmm.
came out of it. She wanted to come out of it, and she was clean out of 3 months. That's it.
She reminds me that, for whatever you are doing in your life, that strong why is very necessary. So this lady had that why, strong why into her life. Because of that, she came out of it so quickly. And
Yes.
it's not only for healing. I think anything you want to do,
Yes.
if you are trying to manifest anything in your life, maybe it's money, maybe it's health, maybe it's relationship, that strong why is very necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what matters. That
Wow.
why and that dedication and the grit to just go through and get it done. Do it.
Right. Yes. So, since we spoke about life and death here, so there comes a question into my mind here, that when our parents go after completing their age, like in old age, 80s, 90s की age में जब वो जाते हैं, we accept it, because we know that their life is complete and it's time, and death is a fact. We cannot deny it. So we accept it. But what happens when we lose our child in a very early age? It's very difficult to accept that.
Yes.
So, how can healing help those people who have lost their children because of maybe terminal illness, maybe accident, maybe something else? So, how does that happen?
I think I won't separate grief from a child. Yes, it is very deep. Um, I have had students. I have a particular student. She had come to me when I think it was just 22 days, and she had lost her daughter. And it is very painful, Rachna. It is
Yes, it is.
extremely painful. We've gone through sessions of just crying and howling and releasing the pain. It is endless pain. It is cannot even fathom how deep it is.
Right.
And yet, Reiki helps us to slowly stabilize, come back to calmness. I won't say acceptance. Acceptance is a long process in these situations. But it helps us center ourselves. It helps us become more grounded. And slowly, 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 it builds an inner strength. And the fact that we can do healing for our loved ones who have moved beyond. The mother learns to build a new form of relationship, a new expression of love through Reiki, through healing. So as we start channeling, first we do for ourselves, and then slowly, when we move on to channeling Reiki to the soul of the person who's moved forward, and we learn to connect with the soul. See, we are all energy beings only.
Right.
Just because the body drops doesn't mean the soul or that energy doesn't exist,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
So the fact that we can build a beautiful, loving, powerful relationship through healing, and still be that love and send that love, send those blessings through Reiki to that soul and clear our karmic bonds.
Mm-hmm.
That itself, the process itself is extremely, extremely relieving, extremely, I would say, healing. And I won't say it is empowering in a certain way. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
you come to sort of stabilize, to find your own strength, to find your own way of expressing that love. Because what is happening, when we lose a loved one, that fear of not being able to express our
Mm-hmm.
love for that individual, for that person in that relationship, it's that fear of not being able to experience divine love,
Right.
experience expressing that love. Now,
Right.
slowly on a daily basis, when you are doing Reiki for yourself, for that individual soul to move on to the next point, somewhere you are with them in a very different way. Maybe you
Hmm.
can't touch and feel them the way you do, but you're with them in Reiki, and
Hmm.
you're facilitating their movement. And a lot of them find their own way of communicating also.
Hmm.
Not I'm not a I mean, not into any kind of communication with souls. I'm not talking about that. But
Right.
to get a divine message,
Uh-huh.
to get a divine message from the loved one, or just to know that, sometimes you just know their blessings are with us. To
Right.
just
Right.
know that, they would have been very happy
Mm-hmm.
if this happened. They would have liked
Hmm.
this. They would have. Now, we learn to build a new form of relationship with that other person. And when we learn this new form of love, new form of expression, that
Hmm.
fear of not being able to somewhere dissipates. I'm not saying it will completely reduce. It's not like there is zero vacuum. There is,
Mm-hmm.
to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
but we find our
Living.
new way of living, of
Mm.
accepting, of acknowledging,
Right.
and then making peace with that new relationship.
Hmm.
So I always tell them, be with them in Reiki and bless them and heal them, and continue to
Right.
bless them and continue to channel Reiki. And
Hmm.
they are blossoming and they are
Hmm.
also blessing you at the same time.
Right. Right. And I have seen so many people who have not accepted also, and even after acceptance, no, because of maybe societal pressure, they feel guilty when they are happy, maybe they are relieved from inside from that grief, but because society says no, you have lost your child, then how can you feel happy? And maybe because of that pressure they are constantly into sadness. And I had this client, she said to me that I don't understand how people can be happy. But even when I go outside and I see people dancing, I really don't understand what are they so happy about.
Hmm.
So yes, it took time for her to get out of that sadness state, but she eventually came out of that. She learned how to be happy, and but it took time. So it is, I think that societal pressure also somewhere that brings us into that sad state of mind.
Society is always going to doubt, question,
Hmm.
judge at every step, whether we are losing a loved one, whether we are happy, they will question the happiness. If we are
Right.
sad, they will question the sadness. If we are upset, if we are frustrated, these are all human emotions, and we are all allowed to have them and feel them completely.
Yeah.
It is honestly, and I always tell all my, young women, said, who are you putting in the judge's seat, and how equipped are they? Are they
Exactly.
even in your playing field? Because if
Right.
you're not facing what I'm facing, first
Hmm.
of all, you're not in my playing field.
Exactly.
And if you're not in my playing field, how are you empowered to judge? How are you equipped to judge what I'm going through?
Exactly.
So,
So well said. Okay, so from there, let's talk about a little bit about spiritual psychotherapy. So
mhm.
we all have heard about psychologists, psychotherapies, but what exactly is spiritual psychotherapy, and how is it different from the traditional psychotherapy?
uh, so I, psychotherapy is it's a beautiful science, and it's a very powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where you're only doing mindset work. You're working cognitively, you're working with the mind, you're working with the mindset, you're working on breaking limiting beliefs and rebuilding new beliefs.
Okay. So do you use NLP into that?
Yes, there is NLP, there is CBT, there is REBT. There are so many beautiful, there is gestalt therapy. There are so many beautiful techniques we use as a psychologist, as a psychotherapist. There are
Okay.
multiple different techniques we use,
Mm-hmm.
right? However, while I worked with clients using hardcore, pure, just only psychotherapy techniques, I realized that, at the surface level, at the mind level, yes, lot is shifting. I have to
Mm-hmm.
do this. And it is powerful because you will, even in a proper, pure psychotherapy session, you will see your client experiencing shifts in terms of mindset. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what happens? You want to do something. Have you experienced there are times where you know you have to do this? You want to do it. You start doing it. You get yourself to do it. But then when you're in the middle of it keeps on sinking, it keeps on slipping. You keep on slipping back into that old mode.
Yeah, so many
So,
times.
though in your head you're ready, right? You're ready.
Exactly.
Oh,
So many times
I
it
want
happens.
to do this. You come out of a beautiful motivational seminar. You've gone for this amazing course, and you're
Yeah,
totally charged up. You made your plan. Everything is ready,
absolutely. All the time it happens.
right? Now, what is happening there? What is happening is you've gone for a very motivational seminar, and you're so charged up with high energy.
Yeah,
That your body, I'm talking about your energy body,
right.
your body, that is the vessel that has to hold and keep and maintain that high energy, is not ready.
Okay.
So what is happening is, if my chakras are blocked,
Mm-hmm.
or my chakras are vibrating at a lower frequency,
Mm.
my energy body is not yet ready.
राइट अगर जग ही छोटा है तो उसमें ज्यादा जूस कैसे आएगा जग को
Then,
बड़ा करना पड़ेगा पहले
right. So
राइट
we work on activating the chakras which are blocked. We work on slowly expanding them with Reiki.
ओके
We expand our capacity to hold, to be that high energy being.
ओके
And then simultaneously, when you're doing the mindset work, and I also include always. I'm a numerologist, so I also include the occult aspect of it. There are certain aspects of our life which are sort of missing because of the numbers we are born with. So there's some part you can't do anything about it. There are certain areas of life which can be sort of fixed with, or improved rather, with remedies. And so we incorporate that, the occult science, we incorporate energy healing. And then along with that, when you do mindset work, you're preparing your entire ground, you're sort of taking care of the entire field. So there is the occult, there is the karmic balance that we are born with. We work on that part by changing the number frequency, by aligning our numbers, by understanding and aligning ourselves with the numbers we are born with, to understand
Okay.
what are our strengths, weaknesses, what is
Right.
the life purpose, what are the life challenges we are going to face, to understand it, acknowledge it, and work on our strengths. Then we prepare the energy body,
Okay.
activate our chakras, and
Okay.
then we do our mindset work. Now, when all these three things come together, that is where holistic healing happens.
Yeah, because there is a gap when we talk about simple psychotherapy, there is a gap. You are so truly saying that. Because even in my life, I feel it so many times that, for a week, I would be so energized, so motivated to do everything. I make so big plans. And the next week, it goes like fuss. जैसे वो bomb होता है ना, it just goes fuss.
So when we maintain our chakra balance, एक वो स्थिरता आ जाती है.
Right.
We go slow, steady, and very focused towards where we want to go, where we want to go.
Right. Right. Wow. Okay. So Delna, now can you give our audience some, practical steps to follow if they are feeling broken or they are feeling powerless at this point of time in their life? That those practical steps they can take right now to start their journey towards feeling powerful, feeling towards feeling that inner peace in their life.
All right. Uh, what I would start with, first of all, there is no magic combination like that
Right.
when you're feeling low. But yes, there are certain tools which I will share,
Mm-hmm.
especially for the times where you're feeling very anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I use it very frequently with my clients. For me, it's worked magically. Okay.
Okay.
One is box breathing, or if you don't know box breathing, then I would say start with normal long deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of breath work technique, if you are doing it consistently, it's a very very powerful tool to center your
Mm.
breath.
Yes,
Any
it
kind of
is.
breath work, whether you know anulom vilom or
Mm.
you're doing the box breathing. What is box breathing? Box breathing means you're breathing in a certain rhythm with four equal counts. You're
Right.
breathing in four counts, you're holding four counts. You're releasing in four counts, and again you're holding for four
Four
counts.
counts.
That's a simple box breath.
Box. Right.
So any kind of Kriya Yoga, if you're doing any pranayam, if you're doing any kind of breath work, that's one
Mm-hmm.
very, very powerful tool to have. And
Yeah.
especially when you're feeling anxious, that's where you have to, you can use it, and trust me, it will work magically.
Yeah, it works for me also. Even I use Anulom Vilom or even left nostril breathing also works. In yoga, we call it Chandrabhedi Pranayam. Even if you do that, it relaxes your mind very quickly.
Yes. Okay. The second thing is what I call an emotional dump. All right.
Okay.
Uh, I am not a fan of course, we do journaling when we want to introspect on a certain aspect. There are certain, uh, introspective questions we do give clients. But emotional dumping is where and I used to do this, and trust me, it works magically for me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
in Reiki, we have this very beautiful five principles.
Mm-hmm.
We say, just for today, I will not be angry.
Mm-hmm.
Just for today, I will not be worried. Just for
Okay.
today, I will be in the attitude of gratitude. Just for today, I will be 100% honest to myself and others. And just for today, I will be kind. Now, इसमें ना एक बहुत beautiful part है about anger and worry.
Mm-hmm.
So, I used to do this when I used to get anxiety or when I used to feel nervous about something. It may sound very absurd, but I had 7 p.m. All my students know. I share with them a lot. 7 p.m. used to be my worry time.
Right.
7 p.m. used to be my worry time, because 7 p.m. I used to be ready with my journal.
Okay.
And I would sit, and the whole day I would tell myself, just for this moment, I'm not going to worry. I'm going to drop it. 7 p.m. is my worry time. I can't worry now. I have a
Right.
time fixed for it.
Right.
And trust me, every day at that fixed time, I would
Mm-hmm.
whether I was feeling amazing in my spirit or I was feeling totally low or whatever I felt, even if I had nothing better to do and I was absolutely high in spirit, I would sit with my journal and I
Mm-hmm.
would say, you know what, Delna, it's time to worry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what I call emotional dumping. And this is a very beautiful and powerful tool. Um, you can try it and share with me how you felt. But you set a time for yourself, and that is the time for you to share or
Mm.
scribble onto your journal. 15 minutes sharp, and the timer switches off and you switch off. That's it. There's no need to go into a loop, never ending loop of releasing, releasing, releasing. Next day,
Right.
again, same time, you're going to sit with your journal again. You can
Mm.
continue the practice.
Mm.
So you write what you're feeling, you release what has happened during the day, you dump that, and you never go back to it.
Mm.
You
So
never
basically, you are
turn that page.
accepting. Basically, you are accepting your emotions there, but you are not stuck into that continuous loop of feeling all those negative emotions. So you have told your body and mind that okay, we will feel it, but not right now. When I tell you, then only you are allowed to come. Otherwise,
Yes.
you are not allowed to
I'm
come.
going to feel it also. I'm going to feel it deeply. I'm going to
Hmm.
acknowledge it. I'm going to write it down to say, I acknowledged you.
Hmm.
I know
So
this.
beautiful.
I acknowledged you.
Right.
You are a part of me. I'm not abandoning you. I'm not going to shy away from you. I'm not going to push you away. I promised you 7 o'clock. I'm here at 7 o'clock.
Right.
All right. Now, when we do this to ourselves, we teach ourselves a lot of stuff. We are telling ourselves, I'm not running away from my problems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not running away from my emotions. I'm right here to face them.
Mm-hmm.
There is a fixed time for it, and I'm going to stick to that time. My emotions cannot get the better of me. I am in
Right.
control. I will control. I will decide when I want to acknowledge them, face
Hmm.
them. I will be honest with them.
Right.
And yet, uh, not allow my entire day to get
Hmm.
hampered by it.
Hmm. So beautiful.
Yeah.
So empowering. Wow.
This is something I've done personally, and it has really helped me immensely. I do this with all my clients. I tell them, I mean, wherever
Mm-hmm.
it's required, not just with me.
Right.
So this is
Yes.
something you can explore. I would say, please
Hmm.
try it if you never tried it, and share in the comments below.
Yes.
Let us know how you felt after doing this for a couple of days.
Exactly. And these
Uh,
breathing practices also you can try out and let us know in the comments. How did you feel
yeah.
after that?
Yes, superb. And do this at least for around 20 days to
Hmm.
experience a real shift. Or trust me, initially you may feel it's just a practice or ritual that you're doing, but it grows and you will see a shift. I promise you. Do it for 21 days and share with us how you feel about it. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and the last thing I would say is, please, if you are alone, uh, for me, definitely, I would recommend, if you've never done any spiritual practice, please explore and find some kind of energy practice that you resonate with. For me, Reiki works magically. Reiki is a beautiful way to balance your chakras. So if you've never experienced it, I would invite you to experience it once, see for yourself how it feels. Because when we are doing Reiki, we are also expressing self love. When we touch each part of our body, we are acknowledging not just each chakra, but each part of our body, expressing that love towards ourselves.
Hmm.
So if you've not tried it, please do try it. If that is not your thing, please explore some spiritual work, some spiritual practice, some kind of energy work that you can experience and that you resonate with. It will really help you build yourself to another level. And if the pain is unbearable, please find a mentor. A mentor is someone who's been a lot of times been through the path, uh,
Exactly.
and he or she can make it the journey. They can't take away your pain, but they can make the journey a lot easier for you because they know the process, and knowing the process makes half the job done. So if you feel you're alone, please reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, and if they are not equipped to help you, please reach out to someone who is equipped to help you in that area of life.
Exactly. Even if it's not us, if even if it's not Delna, it's not me, you can go to anyone who you resonate
Find
with,
someone you
but
believe in.
take help. That's very important. Don't delay it.
Awesome. So
All
yeah,
right. So
that.
Delna, that brings us to a fun part for today's podcast,
Mhm.
and that is rapid fire round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
that's going
right.
to be fun.
Okay,
So,
let's do
are
it.
you ready?
Ready.
Okay, so first question is that tea or coffee? Although
Tea.
I cannot give you anything right now.
Absolutely tea.
Okay, wow. Okay, so second question for you is one daily habit that you swear by.
Reiki.
Okay,
Yes.
then one book that changed your life.
The seven spiritual laws of success.
Wow. And then last question, if you could give just one sentence advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Live it up, live it up, live it up, live it up every moment. That's all I would tell myself. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, Delna. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so, lastly, just tell me one thing that if you know out of this whole podcast, people want to take out just one message, what would that message be?
Love yourself and love yourself like you've never loved before.
So beautiful. So thank you so much, Delna, for joining us today and for sharing such valuable insights and tips. And I'm sure so many people listening will feel inspired to move from that space of brokenness into strength, confidence, and inner peace. And to all of you watching or listening, if you would like to know more about Delna and connect with her work, I have shared all her details in the description below, so you can go there and check it out. And with that, we come to the end of today's episode of the Blossom Everyday podcast. If you found this conversation helpful, do share it with someone who needs to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring talks coming your way. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep blossoming every day. And thank you so much, Delna. Thank you for joining us here and giving so much value.
Thank
Thank you.